Hello everybody and welcome to the question time for the Vice President of Sports and Wellbeing / Sports Union President candidates. So we've got our candidates up here, we've got Mairi MacVicar and also James Reid. So without further ado, let's kick off with the speeches. I'd like to invite Mairi to kick off with her 3-minute speech. Just to let the candidates know, when you've got 30 seconds left, I will ring the bell of doom. If you do get to 3 minutes, time's up. Anyway, so let's kick off. Mairi, if you can kick off for me.
Where do I start? Let's just
start when you start.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Reid and MacVicar and I'm a 4th year psychology student here at Strathclyde. I am the captain of the Equestrian Club and I'm on the sports exec at the moment as governance officer. I've been involved in the Equestrian Club since my 1st year at uni, and I've had 2 committee positions as first team's captain and club captain. Through my time as club captain, I've managed to increase us from having 1 competitive team competing at BUCS to having 3 teams competing at BUCS level, and moving one of our teams to the regional rounds of the competitions along with 2 individuals, which is something we have never done before. As governance officer at the sports union, this allowed me to gain a deeper understanding into what happens at the sports union and how it's run. So I've been able to see what you have to do to be VPSW. So my manifesto is all online. You can get it on the sports union website, and I think James circulated my Facebook page around as well. So I'm just going to cover a few main points since we're short on time. So one of the main things I'm looking to do is maximise the use of the facilities that we currently have. So I'd like it that all clubs could have the maximum usage of the facilities for training, and therefore this would boost club performance overall when out competing. I'd also want to support clubs that are small as well as big, so I think it's just important to have the support for the small clubs as well as the larger ones. And I'd also like to voice all your ideas for the new sports centres so that can be improved for future years. I'd also want to promote the sports clubs for recreational based things as well as competitive, as I think it's massive that we help let the recreational people also be involved, as this is how we can increase numbers for the sports union. So I think massively, like keeping up with the rock up sports clubs and keeping up with the welfare and its benefits will attract people that aren't competitive in sport to come and join the sports union. One of the main things I think has been a massive issue is kit, and that's one thing that I'd like to focus on. I know this year many of you have faced troubles with your kit and the delay in the orders and everything, and I know your frustrations because I've been through the exact same thing as you guys. To try and stop this from happening again, if I was elected, I'd look to try and meet up with clubs before the start of next semester and figure out what exactly it is you guys need for next year, so that when you go to place your orders in September for your clubs, that everything that you've talked about before will be there. So when you go to order online, the things that you're looking for are going to be there and you're not going to experience these massive delays. I also think communication is key with whoever is going to be the kit supplier. If it's still Under Armour, then I think communication is a massive thing so that these massive delays and problems don't happen again. So yeah, the sports union has done massive things this year, and I would like to continue on with the successes that we've already had, but then put a fresh perspective on it for next year so we can make things even better. So if you would like a good bit of change for the sports union, then just do it. Vote Mairi MacVicar #1 for Vice President Sports and Wellbeing. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Mairi. Now to introduce James Reid. Same goes for yourself.
Okay, cheers, Quacky. So yeah, as you're aware, I'm running for re-election for the position of Vice President Sport and Wellbeing, Sports Union President, and this is the first time that it's ever happened in kind of over 24, 25 years within the Sports Union. I think it's something that's long overdue. A 2nd year provides continuity that allows us to achieve big things in 2014, 2015, and build on the successes of this year. And you know, I know it's a cliche, but what a year it's been so far. Our sports union memberships continue to rise, has broken past the 2,100 mark for the first time, and that's when many thought that it would remain stagnant or even decrease. Our performance on the park has also improved. Strathclyde have moved 100 BUCS points clear of Heriot Watt, a university that this time last year we were actually behind. So we're moving away from our competitors below us and closing the gap on Dundee. And that's something that I'm looking to continue, and I think with continuity, with added experience, we can actually close the gap even greater on Dundee and overtake them as a BUCS university. Recreational sports also seen an increase. The Rock Up Sports Club has seen record numbers of attendees during all 4 sessions, including the first disability session that we had. That was a wheelchair basketball session. It's the first time we've ever had that in the sports union, and it's great to be getting that message promoted out there. If re-elected, this was all with a nearly entirely new cohort of staff in the sports union. So almost 8-9 months ago, we had a full office refurb, and I was on the hiring panel for bringing in 3 new members of staff. We obviously lost Ian Stewart and Sarah McIntyre and brought in Fraser, Alicia and Ross. And I think we've all gelled well as a team, and there's a lot that can be said for keeping that team together and being able to build on to big things next year. If re-elected, I believe we can carry this momentum forward, and I'd work closely over the summer period, rather than learning the ropes of the new job, being able to work closely with the sports exec, work closely with captains, work closely with committees, to look and see how we can make the sports union work. Because that's essentially what I'm here to do, is to make the sports union work for you guys. And I feel that over the summer period we can best suit the needs of your clubs moving into year 2. And also install a greater presence on campus. Regarding the new sports facility, re-election will also provide long-term benefits for the club, as I know exactly what you guys are needing in the new facility: additional hall space, additional gym size, a swimming pool. These are all issues that I know that we need, and I can continue to use my strong working relationship with the uni to actually achieve this and make sure that in this critical period we can get this. Obviously, mentioned a stronger sporting presence on campus. This week we saw the introduction of the sports freshers helpers, and that's something that I'm looking to really grow next year, getting more of the freshers squad on campus. Finally, funding. This year we've increased funding by £8,500, which has gone to all of our teams, and that's something, for funds for all of our teams, and that's something I'm looking to increase. I believe we can build on the successes of this year, and with your vote and your team's vote, we can achieve this and further grow sport. I'm passionate about sport here, and would love the opportunity to continue to improve it. Cheers.
Just in case you didn't get the message. Okay, thank you very much, Mary and James, for that. I can now open the floor out to questions. I don't all rush at once. Carmen.
So if James, you were re-elected, obviously there would be the handover over the summer period. What would you do in that time?
Should I stand?
It's up to yourself.
Yeah, over the summer period I'd want to really liaise. Obviously a lot of students are off campus, but I'd use it as an opportunity to really get a framework together for next year, a real plan of action, and work closely with sports exec, work closely with club captains to be able to look at both development and performance needs. So obviously there's a lot of clubs that are purely recreational and some that have recreation and performance aspects. And that's something that I'd want to sit down with the members of staff that we brought in this year and sit down with club captains and look and see, right, so how can we make the sports union work for these individual clubs? It's not, obviously, you know, club development, club performance, looking to improve that. It's not a blanket approach that we take. We need to take an individual club look at how we develop that, and that's something I'd really look to do over the summer period.
Okay. If I can ask if you could have keep questions to both candidates, that'll be very, very ideal if you can do that. Any other questions, please? Up the back first.
So, it's not quite both, but Mary, you mentioned...
I suppose it evens it out then.
Doing things differently with Under Armour if we keep them as the kit supplier. Certainly the problems we had, it wasn't the unavailability, they just weren't really seeming to cooperate very well with us. So I mean, what would you try and do differently? Also, you're saying about trying to get things done during the summer. Most of our order came from new, like freshers and beginners at our club. So obviously we can't tell you what we want because we don't know yet. So I guess, firstly, what would you do differently to maybe what James has done this year, trying to deal with Under Armour, and how, like, what could maybe clarify what you meant about sort of getting an idea of what you wanted during the summer?
Yeah, do you want me to stand? Or?
It's up to yourselves.
I'm just going to sit, that's good. Well, what I was talking about was mainly during the summer. I was more meaning if there is issues that you've had before, come in the summer and discuss them, so I can discuss with, if it's Under Armour, then before you guys come back. So instead of the problems all occurring when your freshers are wanting to order their kit and your new team members are wanting to have their kit, that these things are all discussed beforehand. And I understand you might not know what you want, but I think last year what happened was the kit supplier was only confirmed at the end of the semester into the start of the summer, so there wasn't a good relationship and rapport built with the company. So I think that this year, obviously, they know the problems and they're trying to sort them out. So I think if we address these problems even more at the start of the summer, then they've got months to try and figure out how they're going to be better for us. So I think building some good communication with them over the summer months, just so they know what we're all about, and then when you guys come back and want to place your orders for your kit, then I think they'll be more willing to obviously give us things on time because they know what's happened before. And since we've been with them for a year now, nearly, they will know the problems and we'll be able to face them better. So I just think good communication with them is key, because obviously last year all the communication failed and you're ordering kit, or they didn't know you ordered kit, it didn't come, or you wanted initials, your kit came, it didn't have initials on it. That shouldn't be a problem. If you've got it down in your form and they have it and the communication's good, then I don't see why there should be any further problems really.
So how did you maybe get over the fact that James has been communicating with them for almost a year now already?
Well, I just think it must have started off that they obviously, maybe they weren't sure of exactly what it was that we wanted. So I think just going strong from the start and telling them exactly what we wanted, and maybe giving them penalties, like if you don't give our kit when you say you have, we need something back. So if you're ordering your suppliers, I don't know if we could work out a deal with them. If they've said 2-week turnaround and yours has been a month, then maybe they should be saying, well, you're getting 10% off because yours is so late. And then maybe they'd be more inclined to give your stuff back in time because they're not going to want to lose out on the money. I don't know, something like that I think would be good to put in place. But obviously, whoever is president would need to speak to Under Armour about that and see what they can do.
Okay, thank you. Come to the front again.
James, you spoke about how we're going away from Harriet Watts in the box points. How would you two use the PCIS and Ross next year to help us and help overtake Dundee and Glasgow, given their financial implications on the club's reserves?
I can invite James to speak first on that one.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think PCIS as a strategy has worked really well on the whole across all of our teams that were involved with it, and I've been working closely with Fraser and with Ross this year with regards to looking at Phase 2. But Phase 2 doesn't necessarily mean financial implications. It could be with regards to just providing additional transport, or it doesn't have to be in the form of coaching with money going out directly for that. I think, to be honest, with regards to the 5 teams, they have all adapted well, but it might be a case of opening Ross's rollout to embrace a larger number of clubs, to look and see how we do actually bring in more clubs as part of the strategy. It is only 5 at the moment, and but in terms of making changes in culture, making changes in terms of instilling a coaching culture, a professional culture, using the sports union seminars that we've had in conjunction with the CSR in terms of Olympic weightlifting training, and all these other initiatives that we're doing, promoting those to the clubs and making sure they buy into it, I think are the key ways of not necessarily having to spend money to get positive results. And obviously this has been the pilot year of PCIS, and it has been a success. There is room for improvement, but I think by re-electing me, I'll be able to sit down and look at how things went last year and make improvements on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well I don't know about everyone else, but I was only introduced to PCIS about a month or so ago at one of our exec meetings, so I'm not sure how well all the clubs actually know about it. I think one of the main things to do if we're wanting to increase the Bucks rankings is, obviously James said it's a pilot year, so the clubs that are doing it just now, if they're being more successful and they're getting the training and everything they need, then hopefully that will help them with their Bucks points. But I think it needs to be promoted more and told to all the clubs exactly what it is, because there'll be clubs out there that don't know, and maybe they could be involved in it too. And then if we had more involved in it and it's working properly, then that's the way we're going to get more Bucks points to increase our rankings.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Nick, first of all.
Now you said about supporting the smaller clubs, so just wondering how both of you would address that.
Okay, come to Mary first of all.
Okay, well I'm from a small club myself, so I'm keen for lots of support for the smaller clubs. I think there's so many smaller clubs at Strathclyde and a lot of people just don't know anything about them. I've had so many people come up to me and be like, oh, equestrian, is that at Strathclyde? I didn't know. Horses. And you're like, oh, you've been here for 4 years and you didn't have a clue. I think one of the massive things to do would be have a massive push at the sports fair. So not just have your stall at the sports fair, but really hit it with media as well, like through the sports union, Facebook and Twitter, because I know everybody goes on there and checks with the clubs, but it's normally the big competing clubs on a Wednesday afternoon that's names pop up on the newsfeed. And I think if we started getting more of the smaller clubs popping up, then when people who are coming to Strathclyde will look at it and be like, oh, okay, we do have clubs for that, and they'll be more likely to join. So I think having a massive push at the start of the year is good for that. And also trying to put on as many like taster sessions and maybe rock up sports for these kind of clubs as well. And it'll get more people to come along and maybe try out something that's not like your standard, I don't know, football or that everyone knows about. So if you wanted to come along and try out fencing, that's a bit more niche that not people don't really know about. I think having a massive promotion for the smaller clubs as well as the big ones is really important to try and get new people for that.
Okay, thank you, James.
Yeah, and I kind of go back to what I said in my speech about wanting to develop all of the clubs that we've got here at Strathclyde, both the large ones and the small ones. I think we can, by being re-elected and having that continuity moving into the second year, being able to meet with club captains, bring them in for meetings with Fraser, with Ross, with myself, to see what works for that club in particular. Because it's easy to say, yeah, let's develop small clubs. But each small club will have its own development needs. There's not going to be one development potion that will develop small clubs. Each club has different needs in terms of player recruitment, player retaining, and also just generally sort of whether it's improving the facilities for that club, improving the promotion for that club. It is very much sport specific, and that's something that hopefully over the summer period, if I were to be re-elected, I'd work with the committee on. And I think that's the best way of doing it. It has to be face to face with that particular club. For example, I'm working with the women's rugby team at the moment in terms of setting up a meeting with rugby development officers to look and see how we can promote the sport more. They managed to get a slot at a half-time match at a Glasgow Warriors game to try and increase the hype about their sport, and kind of increase the awareness and encourage more people to take part. And I think it's very much on an individual sport basis, but that's something that I'm more than willing to work on over the summer period and moving on to next year.
Okay, thank you. I saw some hands at the back. Okay, I'll take Yusuf right there.
Both of you have talked a lot about like development and funding, etc. I think a concern for some of the clubs that are looking to increase their performance would be to try and like obtain specialist knowledge and coaching. And so, to both of you, how do you propose to go about like supporting clubs in finding that and obtaining it in a cost-effective and efficient way that also achieves like a better quality and performance?
Okay, if James can take that one first.
Yep, so obviously and it might be a case of us publicising our funds better. We do have a coaching fund that is available for clubs to apply to, and notoriously we don't spend all of it, but it does, whether it's grassroots coaching up members of your club to get the coaching badges, getting external coaches or doing health safety training days, that's already existing in the sports union at the moment, so it might just be a case of promoting that more. In terms of keeping it sustainable, in particular with external coaches, one of the things regarding the coaching fund is that in the first year the sports union will provide some finance to help push on the club, but then and as part of the development plan, as part of the funding plan over a number of years, the club has to find ways of fundraising it themselves, whether that be part fundraising it and it's kind of meet in the middle with the sports union, or if it's being able to fully take over the burden and become fully self-sufficient. If I were to be successful in my aim of what I'm trying to do by securing more sponsorship income, there's a chance that we would be able to increase the fund available for coaching available to our clubs, to make it more accessible and to remove the caveats of having to be in for 1 year and then fund it yourself. I do feel confident that I'd be able to do that with a 2,100 member organisation and a business degree myself. I think being able to go out and approach companies and build on relationships that we've got with existing sponsors to increase that is definitely achievable.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mary, if you could come in.
Yeah, I'd say there needs to be a big proportion of the coaching fund, because that's the way you're going to get some finance to help get your coaches. But I think another thing that would be key if you're wanting it to be sustainable is once you've found your coach, if you have people in your club who are at a higher level, they could go onto coaching courses and learn from the coach that you guys get to try and help you guys do it. So instead of you'll have one great coach, and then maybe for like your more recreational people and stuff, you could have some of the guys that you're training up yourselves from your new coach to help train them. So that there'll be people in your club moving up the rankings, learning from the best, so that you'll be able to keep it sustainable.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Can you and White there?
Yeah, we've heard a lot about what you want to do when you're elected, but I would like to ask both of you, what are your personal qualities? Why should we elect you for a job which I think has a lot of responsibility, but also authority? So can you comment on what you think, why you think you're suitable for the job?
Ooh, good question actually. Should we maybe save that to the end?
Aye, I would.
Aye, save it to the end. 2 minutes on that question. Good question, I like that one. I'll take the person to the left of you, or to my left.
So both of you mentioned training facilities and how that is inefficient or there's a problem, so because we got some limits on it. So do you have any concrete or specific solution for it? And in terms that you have to make a priority, so would you prefer or would you prioritize small clubs versus big clubs, or recreational versus competitive performance clubs?
Okay, can I take Maddie first of all on that one then?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that any club should get a priority over another because everybody should be equal. But I'd say it just depends who needs the most training. So everyone should get their fair share of the training facilities, I'd say. So everyone can have their fair hours a week or whatever. But I'd say if there's extra slots that come about, these ones maybe go towards the clubs who are going to be out competing in the near future. So if you say you've got one club that's going to be competing next week, give them the extra training time for that week so they can go out and do better for the uni because it'll boost their performance. But I think there should be set times for all the clubs, but when new times approach, these ones should maybe be prioritised to the clubs that are going out competing just to help with the uni rankings. But I wouldn't say that there should be any like preferences over the clubs. I think everyone should get their fair share, and then when new opportunities arise with people cancelling, then maybe it should be prioritised to someone who's got a big event coming up just to help them with their training so it can boost their performance when they go out to play.
Okay, thank you. And now James.
I'd probably look at 3 areas in terms of what would be allocated on. I do see facilities as the biggest area of need as a sports union as a whole. And you know, I go back to if we are managed to increase funding like we have done this year, in kind of bringing in a facilities fund that you can apply to, like the coaching fund, like the equipment fund, having a facilities one that you can apply to as well. And what I see with that would be something along the lines of looking at the 3 factors being, 1, how much training has the club got at the moment? What's their need? How many members would they expect to bring along? And then thirdly, what are the benefits to the club from getting the additional sessions? So obviously, taking into account the first one, if they do already have quite a lot of training time, and there's another club that doesn't, then you'd probably prioritise the one that doesn't have a lot of training time. Secondly, if it's, you know, with regards to numbers, if they're looking for a huge haul, but are only going to be bringing along, you know, 5, 6 people along to a training session, 10 to 15 people, and then there's a club that has a larger number, there's a way of looking to see maybe we can hire out the whole hall, but split it halfway down the middle so that both teams are getting a use out of it. And then thirdly, the benefits to the club. So obviously not prioritising bigger clubs or smaller clubs. If it's smaller clubs that feel that getting this additional facility, whether it be getting more specific, sport-specific training for that club on a different facility would benefit that. It's all looking at the benefits. So I'd probably look at those 3 things being, how much training are they getting at the moment? What's their need for it? Are they currently kind of overcrowded? And how will it benefit the club, be it this year and long term?
Thank you. Any other? Thank you.
Kind of go back to development again. There's like a number of clubs that don't use internal university facilities, and like as a result, we don't have the ability to put on these like have-a-go sessions and stuff. And even though our relationship has been much better with the sports union, we still feel as a committee that we're very much on our own in terms of how to develop the club. Do you guys have any ideas on how you could improve that?
Okay, if I could take James first of all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you know, I go back to saying that club development is sport specific, and you know, there's some clubs that are indoor, there's some that are outdoor, there's some that are on facilities way off campus, and it's something that, you know, I'd be really keen on sitting down and looking to see, right, okay, how do we develop the club? Is it by putting on beginners lessons? Is it by increasing entry level participants in the club? Is it by putting on more of a platform for performance? Is it making the sport more accessible in terms of making it cheaper? breaking down barriers to entry. That's how I'd want to approach the year. I see the summer period as being key and being able to plan for that. Obviously, you know, students might be away, it might be difficult to do, but to be able to sit down with club captains and club committee members and really get a scope for what they want to get out of the sports union, how the sports union can better work for that specific club is what I want to achieve. And it's very much taking direction from yourselves. It would be the club coming to us saying, right, this is how this is what we want. Can you help us get there? And how do you suggest we get there? And it's something that, you know, I'd be willing to sit down with, you know, yourself, Fraser, our sports development man, and look and see, you know, how we can achieve that.
Okay, thank you now, Mary.
Well, I'm on the same boat as you because I'm in the Christian club and we train on our external facilities and they don't have anything to do with uni. So I think from the clubs that are doing this, from their point of view, a good thing would be to come into the sports union and have a chat, see what we can do with you about it. But I think one of the major things to try and get more people involved in these kind of sports that are training on facilities that aren't in with the university is to see if we can help get like a fundraiser put together for you guys to put on a massive big taster session. So I know I've been in the Christian club for 4 years now and we've had one taster session which was this year, and we managed to get some funding through the alumni fund for this, and we managed to do some fundraising ourselves and put it on so everybody could come out and it'd be free. And also our sport's quite expensive, so having it for free attracted so many new people that wanted to come and try it. And I just think if you guys were out at an external facility, obviously it's going to cost to get people there and it's going to cost more for training when you're out there. I think maybe having something like that, so getting everybody in, getting some money together to be able to take people there would help promote you guys. So I think one of the big things to do would be with help from the alumni fund. I think everybody needs to be more aware of it because you can apply and get money from it, which will help you guys, especially when you're out with facilities.
Okay, thank you. I'm conscious to go to people that haven't. I'll go up to the far back there. Yeah.
How far would you go in developing a relationship with Glasgow Life? Because we come from a club where our sessions are cancelled due to weather, we have no training, and we've tried to go there before, but I don't think it's not been, we've not had the authority behind us to establish a relationship. So how far would you go in trying to get these facilities at a cheaper rate? Because at the moment, if we were to have a team training per week, it'd be about £100, and it's something that we just can't consider for our budget.
Okay. It was, yeah, Mary first of all.
I think it's important to build a really good relationship with these types of people. I think if you're expecting things from them, they're obviously expecting stuff from you. So I think if you were wanting to build a relationship like this, to get like the sports union behind you and backing, you need to have the numbers and the people actually going to be going out to these trainings. So like you're saying things get cancelled on you. If you could give, say, Glasgow Life numbers of how many you're going to have, etc., then you might be able to pay off the money for it. And if you can show like the sports union that it's going to be sustainable and you've got the numbers for these types of things, then when your budget's going through, it might be more likely that money will come your way. But I think it's really important to try and back these clubs when it costs you so much money, because I'm in a club which costs so much money, and it'd be so much better if we could get back in to help support it when it's so much more expensive, because obviously a lot of people want to do it, but the money puts people off. So I think building a good relationship is something that's really key, because I know that if you get the good relationship and you can have those facilities, you'd get a lot more people in your club. So I think it'd be a really important thing to do.
Okay, thank you now, James.
Yeah, I can totally empathise with the fact that Glasgow Life facilities are, one, really expensive and two, really badly organised. It's something that as a sports union, I know we've been trying to develop a relationship, develop a partnership with Glasgow Life, given that a lot of our clubs do use the local council facilities. And it's something that we've not actually managed to have a lot of success on over a number of years. But that's due to a number of reasons. I'd say part of it's due to the bureaucracy of Glasgow Life. But from a sports union perspective, I do agree that it's unfair that we're providing a huge amount of business across a range of sports that are using external facilities in the city centre region and being charged the same as any average Joe off the street. It's something that I think by developing a relationship with Glasgow Life is something that we will be able to achieve. It's not going to be easy to do, but it's something that is definitely worth looking at in terms of moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Solveig, did you have a question? You have. I'll come to you next, and then yourself.
As an organisation, within an organisation, there's a lot of problems and issues that you don't actually have direct control over. Of the ones that you do have direct control over and you can fix as a sports union, what do you think is our biggest weakness? Why and how would you fix it? And by weakness, I mean explaining the gulf between where we are now and where we could potentially be.
He turns up in that scarf, and yet such a good question. James, if you'd like to kick off with that one.
Good question. Do you mind if I ask you another question just to get
yeah, no problem.
What you're looking at is it weakness what's our biggest weakness as a sports union? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
because there's a lot of talk of what's good, and that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
There's also weaknesses. What do you think is the biggest weakness that you can control directly as a sports union? Because I know facilities and things, you need a lot of help from the states and external bodies, but in terms of as a sports union, what you can actually do?
There's probably two weaknesses, or not necessarily weaknesses, but areas where there's room for improvement. The first one I'd say with regards to all of the teams has to be the amount of finance available. That's not necessarily something we can control in terms of how much finance we can give to clubs. Certainly it's great talking about these big plans about what we want to do with the sports union, but there is a cost associated to every element of it, and there is a budget to control with that. In terms of what we can control is what I'm looking to try and improve on is increasing the funding opportunities for the sports union to bring in more revenue and to try and kind of change these problem areas in terms of being able to provide more facilities, provide more funding towards putting on more sessions for clubs, for funding coaching. That's a big area, a big problem area. I'd say to be honest, another problem, another weakness is or a room for improvement area is to be able to work is that we don't work directly with clubs enough, and that's something that I am wanting to change, and I am wanting to work directly with club committees. There are one or two that have received a lot of support off of the staff and I, but we've not been able to focus on that, especially at the start of the year when you're learning a new job. You've got 3 new members of staff, and you're just trying to find your feet as a staff group. So I think being able to work in, obviously working with as a group in kind of general committees and exec committees is useful, but I think we do need to improve on working with individual teams and fitting their needs.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mary, if you'd like to come in on that question.
Okay, so for stuff we can actually control.
Yeah, like stuff you
definitely.
don't need to have, like...
Anything by ourselves.
Yeah, just
Okay.
yourself.
Well, I'd say maybe the perception of sports is one thing that we could try and change through promotion. Because I know a lot of people think sports is quite cliquey and they're worried about joining new sports clubs because they might not fit in or they might not be good enough. And I think a massive thing to do would just be have a massive promotion about everybody is welcome. And I know everybody says it all the time, but no one really believes it because more members don't join because they're worried that they're not going to fit in. Because you come to a club and people have been there for 4 years and they're all best friends. But I think it needs to be put out there that if lots of freshers come together, then these are going to be the new people in 4 years. And I think it's a great thing that people get involved with sports at Strathclyde. So I think really putting out there to people that anyone can come along and join, and it's not a big cliquey environment and it's not scary, would be a good thing. So more people come and are not intimidated, because sporting does seem to be quite an intimidating world for most people. So that's probably what I'd do.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of on that same note, the still finding well, like getting out to the students wanting to come, that the sports aren't a cliquey environment and that you'll enjoy yourself if you go. Part of the problem is maybe with the sports clubs themselves. So would you maybe look at doing, getting them change their attitude maybe towards those coming in, because not a lot of the time it's the club themselves that are the issue, not the students being afraid to join.
Okay, if I could take Annie first of all on that one.
Yeah, well, I'd say that is true. It is about the individual sports, and I think a good thing to do is make sure the committees have a good relationship with the sports union. I think if it's the clubs themselves, maybe it's the way they promote their own clubs. So instead of just having the freshers fair, make more of an effort to say go round to halls and knock on the doors. So if someone came to my door and was like, oh hey, I'm part of hockey, and they were really nice and friendly, then you might be like, oh, the hockey team are really good and friendly, so I'd be more inclined to join them. So I think a big part is maybe the club committees making more of an effort of going to these people themselves, rather than say the sports union just saying come along and join in. Maybe if the individual sports went, then these people wouldn't feel like intimidated by joining because they'd already have spoken to a couple of people. Sometimes just a friendly face is all that people need.
Okay, thank you. James now.
I probably agree and disagree with the point you made. I think a lot of it, if it is, you said if it is the club's fault, I would never say it's necessarily the club's fault. It might be the perception of the club, and it might be changing the perception of that one specific club. What I want to do, obviously, you don't want to impose yourself onto the club for too much in terms of changing its reputation, unless it's got a ridiculously bad reputation. You want to kind of let them do what they do. But what I want to do is make sure that we've got a brand Strathclyde going along, promoting our results, our high achievers, those that are succeeding at Bucks, Triple S, those that have been able to increase their club numbers, using things like Rock Up Sports Club, chatting to teams. This year what we did with Rock Up Sports Club is we went out to a couple of teams and our teams came to us and said we're looking for more of a promotional push. And we said, right, okay, fantastic, would you like to be a Rusk this year? And that worked well. We've had people coming along and trying a new sport they've never done before. And so I think it is breaking down those barriers to entry. One of the things I think is trying to get that Team Strathclyde look and that Team Strathclyde feel will eventually mean that it doesn't matter what team you're part of, you're under the umbrella of being part of Team Strathclyde. And that's why we really try and push Glasgow Taxis Cup, because that is the one inter-varsity day. The one thing we can all share is a hatred of Glasgow University. So being able to come up and beat them and win as a university is it only happens once a year, and that's something I'd want to try and increase over a full year by promoting big fixtures, promoting big results, and just generally when our teams are doing really good stuff, people should know and people should find out.
Okay, thank you.
There's been a big focus on finances and their implications on the sports union and sustainability. What would you two do to help clubs raise their own sponsorship to ease the finances on the sports union?
James, please.
I'd say, obviously, there's the cliche answers of doing bake sales and doing Kayleys and things like that, which do work, but they're nothing groundbreaking. Obviously, looking externally, we're coming out of a recession at the moment, and corporations will have more money to spend in terms of sponsoring either big events, if teams are going down to big events that might get sponsorship for it, or if it's a larger team, or if it's a smaller team that's quite niche, and there's a company that would be willing to sponsor. The union's just brought in someone this year the association, not the sports union, who deals directly with securing more sponsorship and more funding for the union as a whole. And I think that going out to graduate employers that might potentially have increased funding budgets is the way to go in terms of being able to increase revenue for clubs. Aside from that, using the normal methods does work, but I think that's a new opportunity that is coming out of a recession.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mary, please.
Well, I know it's really hard for clubs to try and get funding and trying to do big things. I mean, a lot of places don't want to sponsor small clubs, or the big clubs, to be fair. But I think one of the things to do is everyone really has to go around and try and get a bar sponsor, because all the bars out there are willing to sponsor any size of club. I mean, the bigger you are, the more money they're willing to give you, but they are willing to give you some money. And I know the bake sales, etc. are cliche, but to be fair, they do bring in quite a lot of money. And if you host your race nights and a Kaylee, some bake sales. I mean, we had a bake sale not long ago, and it's like 120 quid, and it was an afternoon. That was it. I mean, if everyone in the club just puts a little bit in, you can get quite a lot back. So I think it's just getting your committee together and going out and seeking some sponsorship yourself. So go out, talk to bars, see what best deal you can get, how much money you can bring in, and then working together as a committee. If you work together and work hard, then you'll be able to pull events together to bring in some money for yourself. So I think a big part of it is just getting the committee together and working out what you can do to bring in the most amount of money.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm going to go back to the earlier question to wrap up. So I'm going to give both candidates 2 minutes to kind of sum up what personal attributes you have that best fits this role. And when there's 20 seconds left, I will give you the bell of doom. So if James
can we repeat the question again? Just
what personal attributes? Correct me if I'm wrong. What personal attributes do you think you have that you could bring to this role that would be exceptional for the year? Am I right? Pretty much, almost. 10 out of 10. Good stuff.
Okay. Don't want to blow my trumpet too much, but I think I am quite a flexible guy. As in, when I ran for election for this role a year ago, I was going in under the impression that it would be that the staff structure would be staying the same. We wouldn't be bringing in anything new, and that totally changed. We had to bring in 3 new members of staff, full new office, totally changing the landscape of sport within the sports union. And it's been a huge success this year. We've grown to over 2,100 members, increased revenue, and increased our Bucks performance. And I think that's partly down to us gelling well as a team, but also down to the flexibility of the team to be able to change, to move with this changing landscape. I think this flexibility is equally important moving into next year. We've got the Commonwealth Games that are going to cause a huge buzz around the city, and just like we got a membership increase after the Olympics, I think there's a great chance that we'll see another huge membership increase after the Commonwealth Games as well. And it's that flexibility that I think I'll be able to work with your teams if you do find out that you're turning up to your first session and getting a huge spike in numbers coming along, that we will be able to manage that and we'll be able to find ways to accommodate.
Caught me off guard there. Now, Barry, if you could give your 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, so I feel that my personal qualities for this role have been displayed throughout my time at university. When I came into my first year, I was just doing recreational sport for the first semester, and then I moved in and I was competing for our first team in my first year, and then I went on to be first team's captain, and then I've been club captain since then. I feel like my determination and drive is what got me to these places. As I said earlier, when I was club captain, I've managed to get our club from 1 Bucks team to 3 Bucks teams in a year, and they're all competing and they're all successful. And I even got one of our teams through to the regional rounds, along with 2 individual members, which has never been done before for our club. And I feel like it's the drive and the determination I have that has managed to get us to these places. I also feel the other half of the role, the wellbeing side, that everyone tends to ignore. I'm actually a psychology student, and I actually quite like welfare and wellbeing. So one of the things I think I could help with is the welfare side and the mental health side, because it's actually something I'm interested in, and I know I'm a 4th year student at university trying to deal with a club, but also trying to deal with a dissertation and trying to do this campaign. I know the stresses everybody goes through, so I think it would be great to try and promote that side of things as well, to help out with students, because I know how stressful it can be trying to sort your club and sort your uni life all at once.
Okay, thank you very much. Could I ask for a round of applause for the candidates? It's a political handshake right there.
Your dick,
Anyway, so thank you everyone for coming through today. Just to let you know that the voting is actually open right now on Pegasus, and it closes at 5 PM this Friday, so make sure you obviously do vote.